The following is an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.
Today we'll just start with an outline so you know what you're going to be learning. I'm going to start with what is the problem? Why is everyone wanting to start becoming more sustainable, look into certification? How can your business be part of the solution to this problem? Your influence on customers and your customers' influences on you. The difference between guidelines, standards, and certifications, how to choose between them. How to involve and educate your stakeholders, why you want to do it, different suggestions for how you might accomplish that. There's disadvantages and advantages to becoming certified. We'll touch on those. And then we'll talk about Ecocertification and can it increase your bottom line. I'm a programmer, designer, and manager. I've recently taken a contract at Royal Roads. That's where I am now. I brought in some calendars in case anyone's interested in Royal Roads green programs. There's a whole bunch in there, so take one if you're interested. I finished my master's in environmental education at Royal Roads, and I'm chair of the Biotech Sustainability Roundtable. Started that a few years ago with Tony Melly, and I'm now chair of that. As I said, I'm on contract with continuing studies, and I was at Biotech for a number of years. So, sustainability. Let's just start with a couple definitions. Sustainability is one of those fuzzy words that could mean a lot of different things. So, for the purposes of this presentation, environmental sustainability is defined as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So we meet our needs and we don't compromise the ability of our kids and grandkids and their grandkids to meet their needs. Another way of looking at it is that we live within our environmental means. We leave enough clean air, water, and resources, so not only our children, but we share the planet with a lot of different creatures. Everyone can survive and thrive in the future. So no, we don't use any more environmental credit. Greenwashing, here's another term that we hear, and it's probably good to have that defined. One of the things certification does is it tells your customers that a trusted third party has audited your company and you have actually done what you said you did. This avoids any chance of greenwashing. So greenwashing is a form of spin, and it promotes the perception that a company's policies or products are environmentally friendly. And companies promote the illusion of being green as opposed to actually being green. So I'll give you an idea of how this can happen. You're having a staff meeting. Head honcho walks in and says, this green stuff's really taking over. We should probably put something on our website. And then they look around the room and they say, well, what are we doing? Are we doing anything green? And so one person puts up their hand and they say, well, you know, last month when I ordered the copier paper, they were out of our usual stuff, so we got some of that 10% recycled. Head honcho says, great, we use recycled paper, write that down. Someone else says, well, I know that Jim rode his bike a couple times last week. Excellent. Our staff use alternative methods of transportation to get to work. Someone else might say, you know, I think Jill took some of the pop bottles home a couple weeks ago because her kid was doing a bottle drive. Great. We support community groups. You know, write it up, put it on the website. That's greenwashing. You make it up, right? It's not based in fact. So, what's the problem? Anyone who's seen any of the movies out these days, you know, anyone who saw the Al Gore film has an idea what the problem is. Just the very fact that you're sitting here means that you have not had your head in the sand, you know what's going on, but let's just do this anyways, just to outline it. A lot of the problems in the world today with the environment are caused by human behaviors, by the choices we make. So, for instance, oil spills. Everyone remembers BP. That was just last year. Overflowing landfills due to the take-make-waste mentality. Take-make-waste is you take resources, you make something, and it goes straight to the landfill after it's done. It's a linear system. Nature does not have any linear systems. Nature has cyclical systems. The waste from one organism is food for another. Everything is cyclical. And for us to get out of the problems we're in, we need to start thinking that way as well. There's a buildup of greenhouse gases causing the greenhouse effect and global warming. There's overfishing, stripping our oceans, air pollution. There's a patch of floating plastic in the middle of the Pacific that some people say is the size of the state of Texas. Other people say it's the size of 2 states of Texas. That's breaking down and fish are eating it. There's an over-reliance on fossil fuels. In fact, in Canada, 80% of greenhouse gases are caused predominantly by the production or consumption of fossil fuels for energy purposes. Overconsumption, again, we buy too much stuff, we waste too much stuff in our take, make, waste society. Rapid species extinction due to our choices, our behaviors. Genetically modified foods. A lot of foods are not, they're not labeled. We don't know if we're eating something genetically modified, and genetically modified foods haven't been around long enough for us to really understand what it might do to our bodies. And looming global water shortages. So what's not the problem? You know, you look at that kind of stuff and you start to go, geez, where do I turn? What's not the problem? So the nice thing is you can all be part of the solution. A lot of you here, in fact, I think most of you here are from the private sector. And the private sector is innovative, competitive, and nimble. When an opportunity comes up, you jump on it. You don't have to go through a lot of red tape, you jump on it, you're competitive. Challenges equal opportunities to people with insight, people with foresight. As a business owner, you're in a very unique place to make a huge difference in the world. And I can prove it. My master's thesis was all about what can you do at work to basically change your community. So my question was, do the pro-environmental behaviors required at work as part of your company culture, do they become habits for your employees? And then, once they become habits, do they diffuse into the communities when employees role model these behaviors to their families and friends? Let's just define pro-environmental behaviors from an office context. Pre-cycling, you know, think before you use something, bring your coffee cup, bring your water bottle, printing on both sides of the paper, using recycled paper, composting, full spectrum recycling, that kind of stuff. That's what pro-environmental behaviors are. I studied the research subjects I used were 4 local Victoria tech companies. I'm sure a lot of these names are familiar to you. Advanced Solutions was bought by HP. They were one of my companies. Abe Books, of course, bought by Amazon a few years ago. Archipelago Marine Research and Smart Dolphins. 537 people received my survey and 186 filled it out. So anyone who's ever done surveys realizes that a 35% response rate is actually pretty good. So back to my question, do these behaviors become habits and diffuse into communities? They do. They do. You spend 35% of your waking life at work. If you work full-time and you're surrounded by other people doing these behaviors, you learn these behaviors. 82% of the employees start at least one pro-environmental behavior at work. Most started between 3 to 5. 84% of the time, employees who start in behavior at work develop the same behavior into a habit. And a person who starts a behavior at work believes they influence a minimum of 7 people in their family and community and friend circle with these behaviors. And this doesn't include their workmates. So extrapolate that, a company with 100 employees has the opportunity to influence 700 people in the community with the behaviors you practice at work. So if you have some really interesting, forward-thinking, pro-environmental behaviors that are part of your company culture, guess what? You're also teaching your community. So you have a huge power of influence. So I studied the effects a company has on their employees. But if you decide to become more sustainable, or if you're moving down that path, you'll influence not only your employees, but your customers too. And it goes both ways. You're influencing your customers, they're influencing you. Everyone's heard of Walmart? In 2005, Walmart decided that they were going to become sustainable, and they are fast becoming world leaders in sustainability, believe it or not. For some of you, that's news. For other people, you've known this for a while. So to meet their goals, which are 100% renewable energy, zero waste, sustainable products, Walmart has every supplier fill out a 15-question assessment. So here's you don't have to, you can't read all this, but I just want to point out question number 10. Have you obtained third-party certifications for any of the products you sell? They want to know if you have certification for your products. They also want to know if any of the materials within your products are certified. And I'll show you later in my talk how they use that information. So Walmart uses these assessments to decide who they want to work with. They want to work with people who share their values. And getting a contract with Walmart is probably a pretty good thing. So it's worth looking at aligning your values with major customers. So it's not just big customers like Walmart who have this kind of pull on companies. Many environmentally conscious consumers are also asking that your products are aligned with their values as well. And they want an easy way to identify what your environmental efforts and values are. So there's a number of ways you can identify your efforts. You can follow guidelines. You can follow established systems. You can meet standards, or you can become certified. And a lot of times this is almost a cascade. One leads to the next. So an example of guidelines, this is a global one, Global Reporting Initiative. This is a very popular one. It's very intense if you want to follow this. They produce one of the world's most prevalent standards for sustainability reporting. And Van City is one of the few regional companies who've created GRI report. This is a lot of work. It's very involved. It's worth it, but it depends on who you are. You can also create a system. An environmental management system, EMS is what is usually used to describe it, helps company to create a framework that integrates your policy, your plans, your actions. So this framework is where you fit all your initiatives into. So a lot of people have different initiatives that they practice at their office that are run by different employee champions. You know, maybe someone's a real champion for composting. They really want all those coffee grounds for their roses, and that's what they care about. Someone else really cares about maybe recycling batteries. Someone else cares about, where's your cup? You know, you came in with a plastic cup again. So if you have a system, the nice thing about a system is you can fit everything into it and manage all of your efforts under one umbrella. You can also follow standards. A standard is an agreed, repeatable way of doing something. Monk Office has met the ISO 14001 standard. Now, a lot of times, meeting a standard is the first step you need to get certified. So product certification verifies that you've passed tests or qualification requirements specified. They can be international, national, or local. And an example we're all familiar with of a certification is LEED. Dockside Green has attained LEED Platinum certification. They have a lot of global attention for that. Where I used to work, the tech park, they're LEED as well. So, you know, you have to decide which one of these to use. So you start with the big picture, and you look at your own industry. Before we started our talk, I walked around to find out what some of the industries were here. We have professional services. We have fun. What would you call yours?
Outdoor recreation.
Outdoor recreation, okay. We have professional services again with marketing. We have a manufacturer, we have retail, hotels. We have a lot of different industries in the room. So is there one certification that fits all? Well, no, there's not. You'll have noticed your handout there is some of the different certifications that apply to the different industries. And that's just locally. There are all kinds of certifications. There's, you know, it depends on who your customers are. So you want to see if there's something emerging in your industry. You also want to find out what similar businesses in other provinces, states, and countries are doing. For instance, California is quite ahead of a lot of places with their environmental efforts. So is Europe. A lot of times Europe is, you know, 2 to 5 years ahead of us in their efforts. So if you want to get a jump on competitors, you might, when you're traveling, you might walk into a business that's similar to yours or pick up a product similar to yours and just see if there's any certification marks on it, because that might be a good way to get a feel for what's coming. Another thing you have to think about is, do you need to comply with a new government regulation, whether locally or broad? And if so, is there a specific certification they're asking for? You want to look locally as well. What are your competitors doing? What are your customers asking for? And is one or many of your customers asking for a specific certification? So again, think of my Walmart example. There's going to be, they actually have a list of certifications that you can choose from. So any of those are just fine with Walmart. So I don't think any of your, the smaller customers are going to be that well organized, but it doesn't hurt to ask them. This is part of your market research when you're deciding, should I become certified? Should I follow guidelines? Is there a standard I should be trying to live up to? So when you're being proactive, there's a lot of people you can ask. Think about who your stakeholders are. Your employees are very, very important. Your employees have lots of great ideas, and they are an amazing resource of information about what your competitors are doing, what customers are asking for. Ask your customers directly. If you have the kind of business where you're face-to-face with customers when they come in, just ask them, what's important to you from an environmental point of view? And they'll give you all kinds of ideas if you start asking them. And again, ask your suppliers. So asking these important stakeholders will bring in a wealth of information about what they want for sustainability initiatives. And they'll help you decide where to focus. So look at your budget when you're deciding what to do. You now have gathered all of this information, and now it's time to look at your budget and decide how much money you have to spend on certification or to spend on meeting a standard. And one of the things that's interesting when you start going after sustainable goals, is you'll find that yes, you're going to spend money over here. Like for instance, one of Carmana Technologies, they're a local manufacturer of solar panels, solar lights. They decided to go zero waste, and so they spent more money because they had to put new bins around. They hired a company to come pick up their compost, and they hired a company to look after their full spectrum recycling. You know, soft plastics, Tetra Paks, that kind of stuff. What happened is, even with hiring these new service providers, overall costs of garbage pickup, of waste management, went down at least 25%. And this was even hiring new service providers, just because the waste was deferred into different directions. So even though you think it may cost you more, chances are it'll probably save you money in ways you never even thought would happen. And Eric, of course, knows about all this. Eric's from BC Hydro, because you work with LiveSmart, where there's customer rebates for putting in new types of technology. So yes, you spend more money on maybe solar hot water, or on putting up your CFLs? I'm blanking, yeah, CFLs. but you save money on your electricity down the road. So research the certification or standard that you wish to attain. There's a cost to being certified, and there's also a time cost. It takes time to get certified. So set your goal, include the efforts of your employees, your suppliers, and your customers in this goal. You want to recruit an internal green team. Definitely get your green team going. There's always people in your companies who are keeners and who want to be involved in this. And it's not always just the ones who ride their bikes to work and they're under 25. There's a lot of people who are very interested in sustainability. And look within. As a business owner, how can your company be part of the solution? This isn't just all about money. For instance, Abe Books, big company, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about them. They sell used books online. Their owner at the time went to an Al Gore speech. He came back and he was all fired up, and he said to the director of HR, Judy, I think we should do this, and here you go, let's get sustainable. And they've done amazing things over the last few years. And he basically had an aha moment. And so as a business owner, we all have aha moments. And Neville, you were talking about yours when you got out of oil and gas. So when you're looking at certifications, you have to be aware of false certifications. Now, this is kind of almost another form of greenwashing. And it's hard to believe, but yes, there are companies out there who will cheat you. And this is an example of what happened. This was back in January. The FTC basically went in and found that the tested green certifications that were being sold on the internet were false. They weren't tested and they weren't green. So there's all these business owners buying these tested green certifications and slapping them all over their product and their website and, you know, feeling all good about themselves. But tested green didn't do the work, didn't do the due diligence, and so they were buying a false certification. So if you are going to buy a certification, if you are going to go that route, research the certification. They're not all created equal. You need someone to come and audit it or audit the product, and it has to be people that know what they're talking about. Ideally, they have a few letters after their name. Educate your stakeholders. This is really, really important. Once you establish why you're certifying, how you're going to use your certification, what it's going to cost you, how it will improve your business, and who will care, you need to help these people care by educating them. You know, just because you're doing something in your office or in your outdoor recreation company or whatever, they're not going to know if you don't tell them. So if you have a coffee shop, put signs up about what you're doing. Talk to people who are buying coffee off you about what you're doing now for sustainability. Put it on their bills, you know, put a little something on their bills. Send out a newsletter. You have all kinds of ways you can connect with people. Make sure you tell them what you're doing. So announce your intentions. Once you decide what you're doing, announce your intentions, create a game plan with your employees, include suggestions from your employees and your customers in the plan. If you do that, you'll get them to commit to you. You'll get them to be more loyal to you because they see that their suggestions and ideas are part of what you're doing. And as you reach your goals, tell everybody, you know, celebrate. Make a big deal about it. Why not? You're not greenwashing. You've done the work. You can prove it if anyone cares. And tell everyone, use Facebook, use press releases, tweet, in-store signage, you know, stand up at your industry meetings and talk about what you're doing. Send out notes through newsletters. Just tell everybody, it's important. And once you achieve certification, use the logo in all your advertising and branding. So what I did is I went through our cupboard at home and my recycling bin to see what some of the companies were doing. Now, this one here says this is dolphin friendly. So I looked up dolphin friendly to see if it was real. And Dolphin Safe, as far as I could tell, is, as far as I could tell, Dolphin Safe is certified. It means someone actually comes in and certifies it, or actually goes onto the boats and makes sure that there's no dolphins in the nets. Dolphin Friendly is more a guideline. So, Level Ground, a local company, they are accredited members of the World Fair Trade Organization. I looked that up, it's true. And they've included their fair trade in everything, in their branding, in everything. On the back there. Santa Cruz Organic says that their product is made with 100% of the electricity used to make this product is certified renewable energy. So that's an example of them working with a supplier who uses renewable energy. And here's Walmart. Walmart tells us that their flyer is printed by a company who is part of the SFI Certified Chain of Custody for Sustainable Forests. So remember that, you can barely see it, it's just down there. Remember how they said on their assessment, are any of the products that go into your, are any of the resources that go into your product, are they certified? That's how they use it. Does that make sense, what I just said? Yeah? Okay. And just since I'm waving paper around right now, the printout that you have actually came from the local Yellow Pages. Your local Yellow Pages has a section in the front called Eco Finder, and it's also online. And this has all kinds of information from the CRD in it about where you can drop off your hard-to-recycle items and different ways to recycle and reduce waste. And it's really worthwhile taking a look at. But if you're interested in a clearer copy of these certifications, take a look in your local Yellow Pages. A lot of times we have resources right under our nose, but if we're not looking for them yet or we don't know we need them, we're not going to see them. So, don't make up your certifications. There's also stories of companies who go, you know what, I don't want to bother with a certification. Let's just send it to branding and get them to write something up for us and create some nice little decal. And so real green certifications are audited. They're audited by a trusted third party. If you make up your own certification, it's just greenwashing. And there's zero basis in truth. So read labels carefully, because just because it has some kind of a label or it says something, this is green or whatever, it doesn't mean it is. You can't trust everything you see. So what are some of the disadvantages to certification? Well, it costs money. Getting, say, Eco Logo certified can cost you between $1,500 to $5,000 for your initial certification. You have to pay for the auditors to come to your company if that's relevant to what you're getting certified, and you have to pay annual license fees. It takes time, and this is an extremely important point. You're going to have to change. If you decide you're going to get certified or you're going to become more sustainable, you're going to have to change all kinds of things. You're going to have to change mindsets and attitudes, how you do business, why you do business, behaviors, processes, your product material list, the way you do deliveries. Advantages. The nice thing about getting certified, following guidelines, following standards, is that you get to follow an established framework. This is something that has already been created, and there's lots of best practices out there that other people share so that you know how to do this. You don't have to recreate the wheel. And change also creates the opportunity for innovation. I had it on, I couldn't get wireless in here, so I'll just tell you about this instead of showing you the web page. HP won this really great contest with Walmart. And Walmart basically said, I want our suppliers to find out an innovative way to reduce packaging for computers. We don't want to sell computers in big cardboard boxes full of foam and plastic and all that kind of stuff. Get creative, do something different. So HP went to the drawing board, and what they did is they said, okay, I know what we'll do. We'll deliver our laptop in a really great messenger bag. And so when you buy your laptop from us, it's going to have the messenger bag already, because messenger bags, of course, you know, computer bags, they're padded, right? Everything you need is right there. So they shipped to Walmart in one big box full of messenger bags with computers in them. Did those sell well? Well, of course they did, because you not only bought a great computer, but you also got the bag to carry it in. So that's an example of thinking innovatively and coming up with a whole new way of doing business. So again, change creates the opportunity for innovation. Your employees become more engaged. When you start showing your values like this, your employees really like it, and they become more engaged with you, they become more loyal. Your business becomes more competitive, and customers who care about the environment or who have environmental buying practices are going to choose you. Your claims are substantiated. You're not just greenwashing. Someone else out there, unbiased, says, yes, you are that. You create a more sustainable product and business. You may save money on resources by changing your electricity use. You may realize some long-term savings from using new technologies. And you're going to feel good. You know, you're making a difference at work. Here's an important question. Will your bottom line increase? We all want to know if we're going to put out all this effort, all this time, all this money, all these make our employees change and all that. Are we going to see an increase in our bottom line? Well, it might help you attract new customers. Remember those people who have strong environmental values and they want to buy from people who can show they also have strong environmental values. It could bring them. It could help you keep existing customers who are becoming more aware of sustainability and green. It can also open new markets for you. And happier employees, Debbie was talking about how proud their employees are. They stay longer, so that means you spend less money on recruitment and training and people calling in sick. And will your bottom line increase? Well, new processes encourage innovation, and it helps you to create new products and service. Remember my example from HP. So again, it's your business, your market, your customers. Only you know if your bottom line is going to increase. It depends on who your customers are. It depends on who your employees are. It depends on how much you care as a business owner. And are you going to put this through your entire company culture, or is this just going to be something you pay lip service for? The more you commit to it, I would guess that your bottom line would increase the more you commit to it. Do you need to take action? Well, I would say yes. Do you need to get certified? Not necessarily. You might choose to follow a guideline. You might choose to follow a standard. Is one worth more because one's certified? Not necessarily. It depends on who your customers are and what they care about. So, making money isn't the only consideration when you go to work, when you own a business. There's a lot of other things that rely on the resources we use. And if you're thinking about moving from a take, make, waste society, which is where we're at now, moving to something that's more cyclical, you'll be a responsible business owner. So, this is what we covered today. I think we all know what the problem is, how your business can be part of the solution. Remember we talked about your employees influence a minimum of 7 people in the community. So think about how many people work for your company. Multiply that by 7. Think about your customers as well. You have a lot of influence in your community. How you influence your customers, how they influence you. The difference between guidelines, standards, and certifications. They're all important in their own right. You just have to decide what's right for your business and what's right for your customers. How to choose between them, how to involve and educate your your stakeholders, why you want to do it, how you can do it, disadvantages and advantages, and we also briefly discussed if it will increase your bottom line. Thank you.
The proceeding was an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.